Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Taisha. So today I figured I would kind of just go over some rules and regulations and some just little tips if you're going to travel to Europe this summer of 2021 during the COVID crisis. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. I know some people says we're over it, but if we're wearing a mask outside, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So I figured I would just kind of give you guys, let me make sure we're focused here, some little tips and tricks. I just recently got back from Paris for 9 days, and it was wonderful. It was great. 9 days is too long to spend in Paris, in my opinion. I'll talk about that in another video. Today I'm just going to focus on the COVID restrictions, getting your COVID test, and things you need to know, things that we didn't know while we were in Paris, and I wish somebody would have told me before. So we had been planning, my travel partner and I had been planning this trip for a very long time. Even before COVID, we had been planning it, and we had our dates and we were ready to go. As soon as we could buy tickets, we bought the tickets. And then the lockdown happened, and then going back and forth with the EU being closed, we didn't know if it'd be open. We had two parts to our trip. The first part was going to be in Paris. The second part was going to be in London. And the reason why I am bringing this part up is because we had our tickets for flying into Paris, taking a train to London, and then flying home from London to JFK. Well, as you know, Paris closed down, and so did London. And as I'm recording this, London is still closed. You cannot get into Great Britain unless without certain restrictions. So we didn't want to cancel our entire trip, so we just decided to spend the entire time in Paris. Now, like I said, we already had the tickets. So we were like, we'll just take the Eurostar from Paris to Heathrow and just fly out of Heathrow, because we're not actually going into London. We're literally going from the train station to the airport, catching a plane, coming home. Well, when we went to go buy our Eurostar tickets, we couldn't. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you think that you can take a train into a different country that's locked down, then they're going to tell you no, and you're not even going to be allowed to buy the ticket, because you can't actually get into Great Britain. Like, be it car, Eurostar, plane, they won't let you in. You'll get to customs and you'll have to turn around. So we had to change our tickets to fly out of Paris. So first thing you need to know is make sure where you're flying into allows you to fly in there. You can check your U.S. embassy or wherever you're from. You can check your state's embassy, and it'll tell you a list of places that you're allowed to go in and what regulations they require. Most places require you to have your COVID vaccine, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and a negative COVID test up to 3 days, 72 hours. So this is the tricky part. I had to do a little bit of digging. I wasn't sure if it was 72 hours to the exact minute or just 72 hours roundabout. I got my COVID test on 72 hours before at about 2 o'clock. I wasn't going to actually land in Paris until early Sunday morning. Now, we didn't go direct. We went from New York City to Porto, from Porto to Paris. Well, it didn't matter what time I got my test, because I didn't even have to turn in my test by the time I got to Paris. By the time I got to Paris, I was done with everything. So wherever you're flying out of, let's say for us, we flew out of Newark Airport. When you get to Newark Airport, or whatever airport you're flying out of, you will have to turn in your code. Let's just say this is your negative COVID-19 test. Someone is going to take it from you while you're in line, get your boarding passes. Someone's going to say, ma'am or madam, do you have your negative test? They're going to look at it and say, hold on to it with your passport. You're going to get up to the agent to get your boarding pass. They're going to look at your negative test. And I got my heart like almost shattered, because the gentleman who was reading my test was like, what's 72 hours from today? And I was thinking, wait, what are you talking about? Like, I'm paranoid thinking they're going to tell me, no, this test is invalid. And they were like, okay, no, you're good. So they took my test, gave me my boarding pass, and I boarded. I'm trying to think, did they take my test? No, they gave me back my test. See, it's really weird because it was different coming back. And this is why I want to film this video for you guys, because it's so confusing. So they gave me back my test at Newark. I got on my plane. I boarded my plane. My travel companion and I boarded our plane. We got to Porto. That's where we had our layover. When we got to Porto, we got off the plane. We had to go through customs. You have to go through customs. That no matter, I mean, that's just what it is. So we got through customs, and I still had my COVID test because I remember giving it to the agent at customs. You know, he looked at my passport. Of course, he asked you, why are you traveling? Blah, 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 etc., etc. I gave him my negative test, and he said, he stamped it, and we were good to go. We walked in through customs. Side note, the customs at Porto is very, like, nice. Like, that was probably one of the nicest customs agents I've ever dealt with in my life. I went through customs at Heathrow, and the guy was just a jerk. He was a jerk. But so the people at Porto, at customs at that airport, good job. In Portugal. So we go through, we get our bags. My friend and I, we look at each other, we're like, we good? Are we good? Okay. We had a layover in Porto, hung out in the airport, got on our next plane, went from Porto to Paris, got off the airplane in Paris. We land, not at Charles de Gaulle. I have to remember the other airport we went out of. We landed, got off our plane, got off the tarmac. My friend went and got her bag because she checked the bag. I didn't check a bag. I rarely ever check a bag. She got her bag, literally grabbed her bag. We walked, I kid you not, we walked not even 10 feet. Took a left, and we were in Paris. Got a taxi, and took us to our hostel. And that was that. That was the experience. So move a little forward, we get our information from Delta. Delta sent me an email. We flew over on TAP Airlines. I'll talk about that in another video. And we flew back on Delta. So I get an email from Delta, and it says things you need to know about your upcoming trip home or back to the States. And so I'm reading through it, and it says you have to have a negative COVID test. And nowhere in my mind did me and my travel companion think about that. We thought all we had to do was get a negative test to go into Paris, that we didn't need a negative test to come back into the States. I was like, what? I had all the blogs I read, all the embassy, I read everything on the embassy. I did all my research, I did all my homework, but apparently I must have missed that, or nobody had that information. I was like, oh my God. So I told my friend, we have to get a test. And she's like, what do you mean we have to get a test? We have to, in order for us to board the plane at Charles de Gaulle, we have to get a negative test. Now, mind you, we're in a different country. We are no longer in American soil. We are in Paris. Things run a little bit different in Paris. We don't have medical insurance for Paris. We're not medical. We're not Paris. We're not Parisian citizens, right? So we're thinking, crap. So we're Googling, where can we get a test, right? There's tests everywhere, but we need to get a legitimate test, right? We don't need to get some bootleg back alley COVID test. We don't know. So we find an appointment. You can make an appointment at Charles de Gaulle Airport. In the pharmacy there, you can get a test. We're like, great. Okay, let's set up this appointment. It's not like just making a regular appointment. It is, and it's not. It's the same as if you would make an appointment at CVS, but you have to put in all this information. And I got caught up because I could not put in my phone number. Something so simple as putting in your phone number. And I Googled it, why can I put my phone number in? I was still using my American number. So I just did the international plan. I didn't get a SIM card, so I didn't have a French number. I'm recording a video. You're fine. I can edit that part out. What are you doing? Okay, go ahead. It's all right. You didn't know.
Where's Jay at?
At the market. So, where was I at? Sorry. So I still have my regular American number. Well, I think you just put in 001 or 011, and then you can put your number, and then you make an appointment. It's really, really simple, but when you're like flustered and you're worried and you're upset, the simplest things just become, this big mega thing to you. So we made the appointment first thing in the morning because we already had plans, right? I think that day we were going to Monet's Garden, which is a train ride away from Paris. It's not like 10 minutes away. It's almost an hour and a half away from Paris. So we had appointments, and that's something else that a lot of these places you go in Paris right now are on a schedule. You have to be there at a certain time because they can only let so many people in. Like, you're not just walking up to the gate of the Louvre saying, can I get 2 tickets? They're telling you no. I mean, maybe later on in the afternoon, but first thing in the morning, no. So we made the appointment. I was like, okay, great, we got the appointment. Getting from the center of Paris to Charles de Gaulle Airport, in theory, seems like it would be simple. It's not. Oh my God, it was chaotic. We had to get there first thing in the morning. Me and my friend both had separate times. So I left first and then she left because we didn't want to miss our times. So I'm out there trying to get a train and then get to Gare du Nord, to get on another train to get to the airport. And then I get to the airport and I can't find the terminal. Have you ever been to Charles de Gaulle Airport? It's a huge airport. I mean, it's like any international airport, right? It's like JFK, it's huge. So finally, I get to where I need to get to. And it's interesting because my friend's appointment was an hour after mine. And she calls me, she's like, girl, are you here already? I said, yes, I'm here. She's like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going either. So we meet up and we get to the pharmacy. If you're gonna do your COVID-19 test at Charles de Gaulle Airport, what you're gonna do is when you get off the train, you literally go up 2 floors, make a left, keep on going left. You're gonna go through, there's a checkpoint. There's these gentlemen checking to make sure you have a boarding pass. We didn't have boarding passes. We just walked through. They didn't even bat an eye at us, which I was like, is this okay? Is this okay, whatever. You're gonna keep walking. You're gonna walk past Air France, Delta, and you're gonna get to, it'll say pharmacy. It'll have like the cross, the red cross, and it'll say pharmacy. It is in there. You cannot miss it. That's where you take your COVID test. So we get there, we fill out our paperwork. The gentleman is really nice. We sit down behind this little makeshift like office. It's basically a curtain and a chair. And he says, just pull your mask down a little bit. He speaks English. The gentleman spoke English. He pulled mask down a little bit. He takes this long cotton swab. Now the test we got here at CVS, we did it ourselves. One up this nose, one up this nose. And it looked like an ear thingy. This thing was this long. I'm thinking, how much is that gonna go in my nose? What? So he does it in one nostril, and I'm telling you, it was completely different than the test I gave myself. I thought, oh my God, it went up there. Like the one I did myself, she said, no, you're fine, just rub it around. Which is interesting that 2 different I'm not gonna get into the logistics of it. So we waited 15 minutes. We didn't leave the airport. We literally went outside the pharmacy, waited 15 minutes, and we both got negative tests. What a relief. And let me tell you why it was such a relief. Because we were not wearing our mask out in public. Because you don't have to in Paris. You only need to wear your mask when you're on the train or on public transportation or you're inside. But walking the streets and stuff, we weren't wearing a mask. Why would I wear a mask out in public if there's no one around me? If there's no mask mandate? Because we're both vaccinated, right? But once we realized we had to get a COVID test, I was like, oh, mask on. But I'm thinking, well, heck, I've already breathed around everybody. So it was a relief to find out that we were both negative and that we could board home. So coming home, so we get to Charles de Gaulle Airport again, which I don't know if I'd ever fly to Charles de Gaulle Airport. If I had to, I would, but it was just a very chaotic airport. So we get to Charles de Gaulle, we get to our terminal, and no, before we even get to our terminal, when we get to go check in to get our boarding pass, they look at it, they make sure it's legit, they put this green sticker on it, the green means go, and then we have to hold on to it. We give it to the lady at our gate. She puts it in a stack of papers, and she has a stack of papers of COVID tests this high. She takes it and she sets it in a basket, and I guarantee you my whole paycheck, no one looks at that stack of papers. That stack of papers will go sit in an office and no one will ever look at them. And probably in a year they will get thrown away. So I tell you all this for 2 reasons. One, make sure wherever you go, you know where you can get a COVID test to come home if you're coming back into the States. 2, no one ever asked me and my travel companion for our COVID vaccine cards. I had them. I still have it. I had it ready to go. No one ever asked me. And I thought about that. And I said, you could very well not have had your vaccines and just get a negative test and travel. Now that's a big risk you're taking, right? That is a huge risk you're taking. But I just thought, okay, no one, because it said you need to be vaccinated. And I've read a lot of blogs where they have checked for your card. I don't know if it, I mean, we just got back on Sunday, and we literally went 2 days after the lockdown was lifted. So I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm telling you this is, make sure you know wherever you're going, that you know where you can get a negative COVID test to come back home, because you do not want to get stuck at the airport. Because they did check. They checked everybody. They were not playing around. Once she checked it, she said, you're good to go, and put it in the basket. But I just could not believe. I looked at my friend. I said, no one asked you for your COVID card? And she said, no one asked me for my anything. Now, that's not saying that if we would have went to Iceland, it would have been different. Or if we would have went to Ireland, it would have been different. Because you can still travel to Iceland and Ireland. And if you go to Ireland, you have to quarantine. I think if you go to Iceland, you don't have to quarantine anymore. Right now you can travel to Great Britain, but you have to quarantine. But they may look for your COVID-19 card. They may actually, that's not a risk I would be willing to take, knowing that is one of the requirements, even though they didn't ask either way. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I felt totally fine. I have some videos coming up for you. How do you get around the tube in Paris? The hostel we stayed at, how do you do your laundry in Paris? Videos that I wish somebody that I could have found on the internet. They're not there. I've Googled them and they're not there. So I like to do videos that I think are helpful. Hopefully that I can help somebody else, another traveler. Yeah, I had a great time. It rained one day, but the weather was beautiful the rest of the days. Even in the rain, it was still beautiful. Like, I told my friend, I said, it is raining, but we're standing under the Eiffel Tower. Like, that's not a bad day to spend your that's not a bad way to spend your Tuesday. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I will answer them if I know it. If somebody else reads a comment and they know the answer to it, feel free to hop in there. Keep it positive. No negative Nancy's here, only positive Patties. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.